All right, people, first things first, my name is Kenneth Burr. My company is Black Series Edition LLC. I just finished. I'm about to do a few things around here. Oh, yeah, gunmetal crystal edge technology screens. I had to finish up a few things in the back. I'm done already. This was light stuff that had to be done. And I had to get my orders processed for Thursday. Yeah, Thursday we're going out. Thursday, get the orders taken care of. All right, so I got to talk about this. Best place to run a business. All right. So yeah, you could go out and get a storefront. There's several things you can go and get a storefront at different places. One of the things we didn't run a business in, I didn't process orders in actually, or I did process orders. We didn't make it there. We made it someplace else. Was the apartment. We didn't make paint or had containers of paint and that stuff in the apartment because again, I was living around other people and and just in case if anything goes wrong, I don't want to be reliable for other people at the end of the day. So we didn't make the paints in the apartment. My LLCs, none of that stuff, nothing was linked to the apartment because again, we weren't doing business in there. Now, as for the houses I rented, yeah, I ran businesses in the houses that I rented and we had to get permission from the owners before we did so. So they already knew what I did for a living. They already knew how I made my income and they had no problem renting to us. They knew we ran a business. They knew my business was web-based and I sold screen paint products. These black projection screens or gray or silver at the time. And in order for us to be able to live in these certain houses, we had to make sure that the owners knew exactly what we were doing. They wanted to know if the products were water-based, if they were basically hazardous chemicals, could they explode, stuff like that they had to know. So in a house, easy to do. If you know the owners will allow you to be able to use the basement. Basement's going to be used for that purpose anyway, for wood shop, whatever they're going to be using it for. So you're automatically going to have a basement. So a house is a good place you can run a business at if you have a basement. Because again, majority of most people we rented from for houses, they didn't have a problem with that. Apartment, on the other hand, that's a whole nother story. And I'll tell you why it's a whole nother story. Because you're living around other people. That's why you got people over top, you people underneath of you, and they may have a high concern about you mixing a chemical in that environment because you're so close to people. You're not like in a house where there's nobody else around you in the house except for you. You are actually in an apartment. And you're going to have to get consent from the owner giving you permission to do so. That's why in the apartment we were living at, none of the paperwork was tied to the apartment. Nothing we had was tied to the apartment because again, out of an apartment, running a company like that deals with chemicals, no, not a good idea. Now, what is a good place to run a business out of? Garages. Garages are actually fantastic for running businesses out of because the garage basically is zoned for all kinds of things. You can do mechanical work in your garage. You can basically work on cars. You can basically turn into for wood shop. You know what I mean? For a place for working on wood, like a wood shop, of course, I said the first time. Electronic shop, computer shop, whatever you want. It's a fantastic place. So, things we looked up online. Let me get rid of this music in the background I'm playing so you can hear what I'm saying crystal clear. All right, so let's go ask Google what is good places to basically use for business. Let's go with this one. Is an apartment a good place to run a business? Now, the reason why apartment, now it depends on what you're selling in your apartment. If you're selling t-shirts, jeans, hats, clothes, stuff like that, food, stuff like that, things you're selling that at the end of the day really doesn't pose a risk, you can basically sell that. You can get an eBay account or whatever account you want, and you can basically run your business right there with no problem whatsoever because again, people run businesses all the time through their apartment, whether they have Etsy, whether they have eBay, whether they have Amazon, which you're selling. But if you're dealing with the chemical, that's a different story because this stuff has to be stored somewhere. If you're making enough of it, it has to be stored somewhere. And an apartment is not the place for that stuff to be at. Let me see. All right, so it says right here, let's see, you may run, okay, so you may run to, you should make sure any violations or the terms of the lease. For example, let's see, drum sessions, like if you're teaching a drum session like that, something's going to be really loud, it's going to disrupt your neighbors. Anything that's going to disrupt your neighbors. Having chemicals in your apartment could get you in some trouble. So let me show you right here. So it says you may run a business, but you should make sure it doesn't violate any other terms of the lease. For example, teaching drum lessons may disturb other renters. It's a good idea to err on a side of a caution and discuss your business plans with your landlord owner, which means if you're doing something like singing lessons, drumming lessons, stuff like that, something's going to disrupt customers, and especially if you're running chemicals, this is something you have to bring up with your landlord. Working with chemicals and selling chemicals in your apartment. So again, this is a serious. It can become a problem because, like I said, when we were working at home, this is the reason why we had free will, because again, in an apartment, in a basement, I could easily, it's a workshop, I can turn my basement to anything I want, but still, I had to get permission from the owner. That's why every place I bought, every place that I rented had basements attached to them. Running a business from your garage.
According to Small Business Trends, successful garage businesses include everything from a laundry service or recycling service to a bookkeeping business or a tutoring business. You even could use your empty garage space to make your own candles and start a candle making business for additional revenue streams.
So garages are fantastic for having a business. You can run a business out of a garage. Even if we're working with screen paints at the end of the day, we could run this out of a garage because it's not a problem. But if you're basically running a business that works with chemicals out of an apartment, this can get you in a lot of trouble. Because again, you run the risk of basically putting the lives of others at risk. So that's something you cannot do. That's the reason why when I moved into the apartment, I made sure I talked to the owner. I told him exactly what I did for a living. And I explained to him that none of the screen paint will be stored there at all, period. I explained to him that there'll be no mixing there at all, period. We will paint on the walls, that's basically about it. But there will be no mixing, no storing, none of that stuff. We won't have it there, no chemicals at all. Because they were worrying about the other tenants. So, with that being said, you can't run a chemical business out of an apartment, including screen paints, because this can get you in trouble. With a garage, yeah, you can start a business right out of a garage with no problem whatsoever. Working with chemicals in your apartment.
According to Better Health Channel, make sure you have the recommended protective equipment and work in a well-ventilated area. Although rare, some people who are poisoned end up in hospital, and some die. So it pays to know what chemicals are in your home and how to prevent an accidental poisoning.
So bottom line is, those paints and stuff, they have to be stored. Any kind of household paint has to be stored in room temperature. Storing household paints in room temperature.
According to Wall of Painting, store in a cool, dry area. Most manufacturers recommend storing paint between around 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. A temperature-controlled space such as a utility room, closet, or basement is usually the best location for storing paint.
So when we had a house, we had basements. And in every basement that we had in the house, we could store product in the basement because the basement was at room temperature, a perfect place for storing. Much like your garage, basement. But an everyday room, not good, because the everyday room is not going to have room temperature. Keep in mind, in the wintertime, you're going to have air conditioning blasting, so it's going to be quite cold in there. If any container paints are in there, if you have this in the of course they don't have winter over there. If you have it in the summer, keep in mind, if you have in the wintertime, you have heat on constantly all the time, so there's no heat in there at all, period. Don't worry about that because it's a warm climate. It depends on where you're at. And in the wintertime, even cold can actually cause paint cans to have problems. Air conditioner weather around paint cans. So storing property, you have to be between 60 and 80 at the most. So bottom line is, if you are running an LLC business, through your apartment. You could do this if you're selling clothing, hoodies, stuff like that. A couple of people that were in the apartment where I was at, they had their own Etsy business. A few people were on eBay. They sold products on there. Those things you can easily sell. Video games, stuff like that. But when you're dealing with chemicals at the end of the day, it's a whole different story right there. Even if it's paint, even if it's water-based. Yes, water-based is a lot more safer than when you have basically oil-based paint, but still it has to be stored in a proper area. Can't have that stuff just laying around in an apartment because, again, you are living around other people. A garage, fantastic place to basically start a business or work a business from due to the fact that, you know, it's a garage. And that's the reason why, instead of me going out and spending all this money for basically renting out a showroom or a warehouse to do work at, which would cost me a little more money, I went with a garage because the garage is actually much cheaper, much more affordable. It's a big open space. We got massive doors that open up so we can load items back and forth. And again, they're very affordable. When you, again, and I still wouldn't attach an LLC to it. Our LLCs go someplace else, but I can't tell you where. So this is why I strongly, you're not supposed to run a business not like that out of your apartment. Because if you have something in there, if you mix something the wrong way and then it blows or explodes, you're gonna be a problem there. Hazardous chemicals in an apartment.
According to UGA Extension, common hazardous household products by room: kitchen, ammonia, air freshener, furniture polish, lighter fluid, metal polish, oven cleaner, batteries, light bulbs, and lead.
Chemicals used for 3D printing.
According to Duralabel, the two most popular thermoplastics used, ABS and PLA, have been found to release ultrafine particles and volatile organic compounds. UFPs, or nanoparticles, are particles between 1 and 100 nanometers in size.
What kind of chemical reaction comes off 3D printing?
According to Environmental Protection Agency, studies have found that the 3D printing process releases gases and particulates which could pose health risks to users. These emissions include volatile organic compounds, referred to as VOCs, some of which are hazardous to human health when inhaled.
Now, this stuff is poisonous. Keep in mind, you can't run a 3D printing business in your apartment because you have other people around you, and this stuff is actually hazardous. Running paint chemicals and all that stuff, you can't use that in an apartment. Storing paints in your apartment.
According to Masterclass, find an insulated, dry place in your home that does not receive direct sunlight exposure to ensure your storage area will shield the paint from light and extreme temperatures. Use an airtight container. Use airtight glass jars or lidded mason jars to store paint for years.
So, sorry, I'm eating Lucky Charms. What we have here from our research is that Jamie, I'm going to be contacting license inspection today. You can't run those chemicals inside of an apartment. It's against the law. I don't care what kind it is, it's paint. Because that's the reason why when I was at the apartment, even though we could show them it was a water-based product, we couldn't have it there at all. We could basically have the product already contained in a container and shipped out, and that's what I told the owner. Nothing's being stored there, nothing at all. Everything's already in the container. I was doing it at my sister's house, and it was being transferred up to the place where we're at. Never saw me mix anything on camera. But you, on the other hand, you have chemicals in your building, in your apartment, including with a 3D printer that has very serious toxic chemicals attached to it. And this alone can get him in a lot of trouble, will definitely get you in a lot of trouble. And if anybody in that building gets sick, there's gonna be lawsuits being passed around. You're not supposed to be running that kind of company out of your apartment. Now, if you're on Etsy or eBay, like I said, or Amazon, and you're selling t-shirts and hoodies and sneakers and all that stuff, oh, heck yeah, you can do all that stuff. None of that stuff is dangerous to anybody else. If you're giving off drum lessons and singing lessons and all that stuff, no, you can't do that because you're disrupting other people at the end of the day. but you have chemicals. And that makes it far more dangerous. Anything happens, that building catches fire, it's going to catch even faster in your section because you got chemicals in there that you're not supposed to have in an apartment of that size. And consider the fact on how many people that are living in the apartment with pets. It's basically a violation of your lease. I actually went through your lease. Did you know you can go access to someone's lease? Yeah. When you basically apply for an apartment, there's a copy of a lease that you can be given, and you broke multiple areas in your lease that basically put you on the grounds for eviction. One of the things that they have in the lease, in any lease, you cannot have any prior criminal laws or anything like process server come to your front door, police have to get access to it. This basically is an automatic termination of a lease. So the fact that you have chemicals in that apartment, you can't do that. The fact that you have an LLC under chemicals that you work with attached to the apartment, you definitely can't do that. So no, you're not supposed to run that business at all. Now garage, oh heck yeah, you can. You can run anything in the garage. You can fix cars, and you know how cars do. Cars freaking splur freaking oil and everything else on the sun, antifreeze and everything. You can run that in a garage, period. A lot of people run their businesses out of garages. I think I went out and I purchased a garage. Rented a garage. That's why. Because the zoning on it is really light. You know what the zoning is for running a chemical factory out of an apartment? There is none, because you're not supposed to do it. You can get in a lot of trouble. So, I'm going to contact license inspection in your area. Your LLC is attached to your apartment, right? So it shows that you are running a chemical factory in your apartment. So right there, all they got to do is just look you up and show them to your apartment, your address, all that's right there. Can't do that, buddy. Can't run those chemicals in your apartment. I kind of had this conversation the first time with you when I saw how many aerosol cans that you had tucked away in a little box in that environment. It must have been 13, 14, or 15. I counted some on the windowsill. Literally, you're not supposed to have spray paint aerosol cans near a window where sunlight can make contact with it, because you're definitely going to have an explosion. You ever seen an explosion off an aerosol can? It is quite nasty. So no, you're not supposed to have all that, especially in the size of the apartment that you have at the end of the day. Here, I don't even mix paint here. We don't mix any paint here at all, period, at all. But we just process it, that's all. But other than that, no, you're not supposed to do that. So I'm gonna go in. As I told you before, you don't put your ducks in a row, man. You got to put your ducks in a row. You can't do that stuff at the end of the day and try to get away with it. You can't. And if you say, well, I had houses. I had houses, in every single one had houses. Even in the rented room where I was way back then, I had permission from the owner to do that. So even with permission from the owner, it's still, I got away with that because, and I shouldn't have, because it was in a rented room and I wasn't making paints and stuff. But you're not supposed to do that. And now I see that I shouldn't have done that. But still, they had a basement too. They had a big basement. I could have just used the basement, which I should have did, just use the basement. But anyway, as I said before, we never had enough products here on storage. Mostly we just made everything we have is made to order. Even any place I'm at is made to order. We don't store paint there. It's just everything is made to order. So whatever I have here, which I can make it here if I want, because it's a garage, it's zoned for it. All I have here is made to order. So we make a certain amount for that day, we process it, and we ship it out. So when I get all this done in here, I won't be processing paint in here. That's what the 3-car garage is for. It's for me to go in there and process orders right through there, because again, it's zoned for it. But you, on the other hand, no, you're not supposed to have those chemicals in that apartment around other people, because you put their lives at danger. I'm going to tell you something. I never forget one time, I mixed something together. Now, what I do now, because I learned from the mistakes, that I had a can implode on me one time. That I mixed something in there, it seemed like it went well, but it really didn't. And I'm sitting there about to go out the door to take these orders out, and one of the cans sucked in. I heard the, and then all of a sudden I heard boom, like when you pop those biscuits, when they pop open, that's what it sounded like. It was a chemical we're testing. And when it popped, it splattered paint everywhere. It was on the ceiling floors. It was a mess in there. I had to clean all that up in there. Good thing everything came up. It cleaned up real quite nicely. So now we know exactly, this has come from downtown from testing. Now the stuff that we have now, we already know. We tested it. We've been there. We've done it. And if I'm testing anything new, I have a chamber that I had built that I can stick a container into and put that glass, that Gorilla Glass behind it, and we can sit there and see if the container is going to buckle. Usually what I learn is that metal containers have issues. And the reason why metal containers have issues is because all chemicals breathe. They have to breathe. They expand and they have to breathe. Plastic containers are good for this because they'll actually move with the formula. Water-based is not going to have that problem at all, period. As if you're putting something weird in there, then you're going to definitely have that reaction. But you have to know what you're doing at the end of the day. And clearly, I've seen these guys who try to make screen paint, they don't know what they're doing. They're messy. But anyway, it's better if it expands better. So the plastic containers work much better. If you notice, if you go down, you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you know, more and more containers are being made out of plastic than they're being made out of metal. And the reason why is because sometimes this stuff will start to expand and the can can't expand with it. And this is what causes it to pressurize or either implode or explode one way or another. But a plastic can is much better because it actually can move with the formula as it starts to expand. All formulas expand, all of them. Everything down to hairspray, everything. I'm surprised they don't make aerosol cans out of plastic because aerosol cans freak the heck out of me. They do. I don't like aerosol cans. They freak me out. Aerosol cans to me is like a ticking time bomb waiting to happen because you can't, if the area is too cold, they have problems. If an area is too warm, they have problems. And this is a pressurized can at the end of the day. This is why all those spray paint cans he has in that apartment, yeah, you can't have those in there like that. Not bundles and bundles like that. Because if one goes, they all go at the same time. So, you're not supposed to have your LLC, especially involving chemicals, running out of an apartment. You can't do that. Because this could be a problem.
Well, yeah, welcome back everybody to our campaign with Tony and Bruce. You don't want this, Bruce. This is firelighting stuff. Honestly, you don't want it.
Now, everything in here that I'm installing in is fireproof. Everything. Everything from the drywall, which costs more money. Everything from the insulation, which costs more money. Everything in here is basically fireproof. Which means this place is going to have a really hard time burning. It'll burn, but it's going to have a hard time burning. I have smoke detectors in here, carbon dioxide, fire extinguishers, everything in this place to make sure it's sound. And yes, the people we have coming in to do the work in here for the electrician, they're all certified. I pay extra for all that stuff at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm following everything within the rules. But you, on the other hand, you didn't do this correct. This is what I mean by, you know, cutting corners, man. Just constantly cutting corners and doing things you should not be doing. Well, I'll keep this video short. It's around 1:40. I have a phone call to make. I got to fill out this. Well, actually, we got both documents already filled out for the post office. That's done. This one form we have here is when we order the product 1 week he has, and we get the item from him. Make sure everything is legit and it's good. If the product comes back legit and good, we don't have anything wrong with it, didn't tamper with it, and do nothing with it, we'll order the rest and we'll have them shipped here because, you know, why go to somebody else? We can have it right directly here. If he does put the money back in the account, then he puts the money back in the account, or just transfer to somebody else and they'll get it for me. Either way, we'll have it here. But other than that, if you're talking about business to business, no, you cannot run those chemicals. You can't have them in an apartment. Because basically, even though it's water-based, it's still a chemical at the end of the day. And that's what you're basically processing, and that's what you're shipping out. And you're doing this in an apartment around other people who also live in this apartment. I guarantee if your neighbors around you say, hey, look, I'm working with freaking 3D mapping equipment. It has freaking hazardous materials. I got like 20 or 30 aerosol cans in the apartment. We got paint stored in here. You think those people will allow you to live next to them? I wouldn't want you next to me. I really wouldn't, because I don't feel like waking up one day and either having the place engulfed in flames or basically a blast going off and basically you taking out my wall or me in the process, because you are way too close to me. No.
So the wood is a bit damp.
No one over top of him, because I think it's a two-story unit. So pretty much you just blow a hole through the roof, but there are people around him that basically is concerned, and people underneath of him.
And beech wood, which is what this is very hard wood, and it does not like to light.
Let me see.
Doesn't matter how many times you split it or whatever.
Long-term effect of using 3D mapping.
It's just difficult.
Oh,
So what I'll do is
wrong one.
I'll just boost it.
Long-term effect of using 3D printing.
Stick that in there. And
Come on, give me what I want. Long-term effect of using 3D printing.
So you've got some nice fat wood here.
So there are consequences. Of course, it's a plastic. You have to understand it's a plastic, and it's a chemical. So long-term effect of using it, this stuff could cause some real serious damage. I was actually in the process of actually buying one of these, and I started reading through like people have problems with these things at the end of the day for using 3D printing. Hold on for a minute. Make sure she's listening to me. 3D printing effects, side effects. Let's see if we get something there.
According to Wikipedia, excessive exposure to VOX can lead to irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat, headache, loss of coordination, and nausea, and some of the chemical emissions of fused filament printers have also been linked to asthma.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a chemical. It's basically a chemical. They have to heat that stuff, and that's a burn in order for it. It's not coming out the way it is. It has to be heated, and it has to be melted in order for it to be able to be molded into a plastic sculpture. So those fumes come off that machine. And it doesn't take much. When you start breathing that stuff in, that stuff can contaminate everything. That's why it's best to have those things in open areas, large open areas. Not in areas like that. I would never put one in here, ever. Too small of an area. 3-car garage, yeah, we can stick one in there because we can open up the bay doors and everything, and that place will be flush with air all the time. There's no way in the world would operate that thing. And this is from a person who used to have respiratory issues. That stuff is no joke. Now imagine these fumes getting out through the walls and seeping into the floors, and somebody else smelling this at the end of the day. It's got to go somewhere. You can smell just about everything in an apartment. My neighbors upstairs couldn't cook for jack. I mean, they couldn't cook for jack. And I could literally smell the burnt food. Before the alarm went off, I could smell it. Even when they would clean the hallways, they would use this cleaner. And you could literally smell it filtering through the entire apartment. When they were fixing the apartment next door, they used some kind of epoxy for the floor to put the tiles in. You could smell it throughout the entire hallway.
3-meter top. The plain cream top. Got Brucey here. Who's waiting? He's waiting for.
Let me see here.
So he can start playing in the shadows.
California license inspection. Oh, we didn't hit our mark.
Progress.
California license inspection. So the bottom line is, when you filled out this application for the LLC, did you tell them approximately where you were operating the business from? Because you told them you were operating from apartment, they're going to ask you exactly what are you selling. It's in the application. They tell you what you're selling, what is your business about, what does your business do. You know, you got to put all that information in there. And again, you can't operate a chemical factory or a chemical business, even though you think chemical may be something toxic. No, that's considered to be a chemical. When you apply for a patent for your product, there is several different versions of patents that they have. They have one called mechanical patent, which basically is anything like the TV or the screen or projectors, mechanical patents. And then you have a chemical patent. And the chemical patent involves screen paints. It even involves bakery goods or anything involved that you have to mix and put items together to make another item is considered under the chemical patent. So basically, screen paint products are under a chemical patent. That's what it is. And you can't have that in the apartment. So when I was in the apartment for the first time, yeah, I was told things that usually in a house I would have never been told. Because the first thing they said to me is, oh, you've got a nice basement downstairs. You can use it as a workshop. You know, if you can do paint and whatever you want to do, you can run your business right down there. That's what we were literally told. That's why, if you look at every video, we're always in the basement doing the demonstrations. Because again, up top, we would do the demonstrations to show off the screens. And when we do paints and stuff, we'd be in the basement. Here you go.
Right, so I've got 2 chores to do. I've got to get the lights set up. Get everything nailed down, the camera, and for filming in the dark, because it will be dark shortly. So I'll bring you back a bit later when I'm ready just to chill out, maybe have a hot chocolate. Yeah, bring you back then. Welcome back, everybody. Well, it's pretty dark now.
Before we go down this road,
I hope you can see me. I hope it's bright enough.
I'm going to have to contact a few people.
Conditions. Bruce, you want me to put your collar on? So to see where you are. Hold on.
The license inspection is going to look in on your LLC.
Okay.
They have to look in on your LLC.
So you'll see an orange light running around.
Inspection.
Don't panic, that's Bruce.
There we go.
So fire. Yep.
That's for the video. I know that.
Because I haven't got
Inspectors.
enough firewood for that.
Okay, this is what we need right here.
At the top, I don't want to damage the top. There's a lot of moisture under here. But I think that's just where I've been pushing against it. So,
Now, I'm pretty sure your landlord
have my beer.
doesn't know. If he does know what you're doing in there, he could be in a lot of trouble. And I already told you before that, we're reaching out to your landlord already over the criminal charges, because I told you that if I find out that your landlord knew that you were conducting those kind of activities in that apartment and it shows a violation within the lease and you let that pass, I will sue your landlord. I'm going to file a class action lawsuit against him because he knew this action was going on and he continued. And this is where the copyrights, the terrorist threats and cyberbullying, this is where it all extended from his apartment. That is the source of all the problems that came from his apartment. We find out that if he knew this was going on and he turned a blind eye, he's got a lawsuit in his hands. I'm going to take his property from him. So I'll be sending him some documents. I haven't got around to it because I'm very, very busy, but yeah, I'm going to send him some documents. I'm going to send him the process service that had to come to that front door and get access to that building because we had problems with you violating government copyrights. We'll send them the DC numbers for the criminal records that were filed against you with the FBI involving Allentown Police Department and Allentown's Detectives Unit. Also, we'll be showing him video demonstrations that you shot from your apartment, slandering our company, and the way you carried on and how you abused its property. So he's going to have a lot to talk to you about. And I want him to know that soon he's going to have law enforcement on his property. His tenants will be disrupted because these officers will be coming to Jamie Fernando's front door to arrest him. And this will be FBI will be coming to that front door. So unless you want that kind of publicity at your property, I would suggest you evict him. You brought this on yourself, ma'am. Let me tell you something, Jamie. From all the places I lived at, you have contacted every last one of my landlords. I know this already. I've talked to them about you. And you said some very nasty things about me. Things that weren't even true. Trying to get me put out on the street. And I turned a blind eye. Every place I moved to, I never said anything. I let it go. Now, see me eating Lucky Charms. Now, I'm not going to turn a blind eye anymore. I have enough evidence to convict you on anything I want. Anything I want. And I can, yes, reach out to your landlord and show them evidence of you basically just using his apartment to commit crimes. Don't got to make that up. I don't have to make anything up. I have it right here. That you committed 2 accounts of post office mail fraud. These are very serious charges. I can show them videos and demonstrations and how you used your website, all kinds of stuff. How you commit scams to your site. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be happy about it. You can't get mad about it. You did it to yourself. These are things you've done to yourself. Doing dirty things at the end of the day. I don't have to make anything up. And you're going to say at the end of the day, oh, you're not being a Christian? Yeah, I am being a Christian. I'm protecting what I need to protect. I have turned the cheek for a long time. 7 years. Been quite a long time. Every place, every apartment, every house that I lived in, this joker was contacting the landlord trying to get me put on the street. This time around, now it's my turn. But separate, see anything about it, I don't have to make stuff up. I don't have to write emails and lie at the end of the day. I have hardcore evidence. And it's the nose on my face, Jamie, you're going to have law enforcement officers at your front door very soon. I had to go to the FBI. I had to go to they filed the report. I had to go onto their site and had to put this document in, and that's all they had to be taken care of. That's it. They're going to get ready to get the process of swearing a warrant for your arrest. You have 2 charges that are coming against you because we filed 2 sets of charges against him for him carrying on and acting up. Reason why the FBI is involved, because once it becomes internet, it's considered to be a federal crime. Everything we sent in of you taking, matter of fact, the pictures you just took of me in the doghouse, they were sent over today. I just snapped pictures and sent those over today. They're for the new charges. So your landlord's going to get all this information. And the process service will have no problem. The police will have no problem contacting him if they need to get access to the building to get to you. This time around, you won't be hiding behind your wife. Because this time, these gentlemen will be to walk right into your property, put handcuffs on you, and cart you right on out. And that's what's going to happen. And your landlord, because if I find out, and I say that we send over these documents, if I find out that he knew about this, if we find out through license inspection that he was allowing you to conduct a business of chemicals in that apartment around other people, he's going to lose his property. He might have filed a lawsuit against you, but then again, I don't know how that would even go if he already knew about it. So again, but yeah, we will be reaching out to him, so you know this. So that's why I told you before, you got more things to worry about than other people's products. So it's going to be a bit of a nightmare for this guy for the next couple of days. Oh, hold on a minute. Let me see.
So for loaded nachos, I have got my...
I could have went out and done this years ago. Many years ago, I could have went out and done this. But I didn't. I let a lot of stuff slide. This time around, for 2024, I got things to do. I don't have time to deal with your nonsense. I need to have you put away and quick. So that's what I'm pushing for right now. Don't think because no one has showed up at your front door, and they're coming, don't worry. Just like about the whole process server, I told you it was coming. Guy popped up at your front door, and then what happened? So they're on their way. They're coming, trust me. Paperwork takes time to go through. Everything has been processed. We got everything done as it's supposed to be done. Now we just have to wait for it to pop up on a judge's desk, and they have to order a warrant for your arrest. That's all we're waiting for. The other thing is with the post office, we're not involved in that. Once we send out those documents to them, they have enough to convict. They will bring in their own team of investigators, and they'll go from there. And they will be popping up at your front door also, too. And like I said, we will be reaching out to your landlord because we want to know if he had any knowledge of you operating or doing any of these acts at his apartment complex. And let me tell you what he's going to do. He's going to deny ever knowing this. He's definitely going to deny it. There's no way in the world he's going to lose his business over one tenant. And he's definitely going to evict you. That's definitely going to happen. Now, if they evict you and you go someplace else, keep in mind, you still have warrant for your arrest. So wherever you pop up, you better make sure they know exactly where you're at. Because that means if they can't find you, doesn't mean the warrant goes away. It means it's just basically going to be there. So you're going to be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life until something happens where you're caught in between a traffic ticket or something else, and they go to check your ID or on the computer, find out you got a couple of warrants on you, you're locked up. I warned you and I warned you. I gave you fair warning. No one else can ever say that, hey, this man did not give him fair warning. I gave you plenty of warnings, lots of warnings. And you never listen. I told you, Jamie, at the end of the day, I don't go through that whole hatred thing and all that. This is how I handle business. If I got a problem with a company, I got a problem with somebody at the end of the day, I just wait for them to hang themselves and go, okay, there you go. Man, I'm going to go take care of this. Go file this paperwork. See you in court. That's how I handle things. I don't have time to be making memes of people or basically sending them 80 and 90 emails a day and all this dumb nonsense. I don't have time for that. That's stupidity. Kids do that dumb nonsense. I'm an adult. I just go in, stack up a bunch of evidence on you that I know that I can use against you in court, take it before an attorney, which is a good friend of mine, and say, hey, look, before I go in court and embarrass myself, if I don't have enough evidence, can I prosecute this person on this? And they go, yeah, you can. Go ahead, knock yourself out. And then I go around the proper channels, get all the paperwork done and file everything and pay for this and pay for that. And then you get a notice and we see you in court. That's it. That's how it's done. This stuff that you do at the end of the day is childish. You're a kid at the end of the day. So this is why it's easy to prosecute you. So you're being prosecuted on fraud charges because you have products. Your website is under investigation. There are agencies that have been going in and out of your website because we put claims in that your site is selling a house paint that's claimed to be a screen paint. Sent them the information. The evidence is right there. We even given you the opportunity to make the product, to test the product, to show that your product doesn't match, and you haven't done it yet. But we will do the test ourselves to show that your products are nothing more than just house paint, and you've been frauding customers for years. Dummy shopping carts, all kinds of stuff. All that stuff that we have, it's not just to out you, it's evidence for court. That's what it's for. And how does Jamie react? By doing more dumb stuff. All right, man. Not gonna wish you good luck because you don't have any of it. You don't have anything of it. And keep in mind, any courtroom that we pop into, if the judge sits there and says that you warned this individual, oh yes we did. We had an attorney send him a cease and desist order. Did he follow through? No, he did not. As a matter of fact, he continued to slander us after we sent out the document. You dug the hole. All right.
This is the thing.
Let me see here.
Is everything dries off. It just does. I don't know if you can hear the rain or see it splashing off the umbrella.
I try to, in my head, think things through on even when you got a person in your sight and you can pull the trigger at any time and you can take a person out. You know that, Jamie. You know, at the end of the day, I have more than enough evidence that any time I want to, I can just pull the trigger and you're gone that quick, that fast. Tons of stuff on you. And the fact that you think you take my way of turning the other cheek as a way of weakness. That's how you see it. Because nothing comes your way, nothing happens to you. You can take it as a sign of weakness. You don't take it as a sign of someone trying to show you a little mercy and move in a different direction. Maybe he'll learn something. Maybe he'll learn something. But you don't learn anything at all, period. You don't believe in second chances, because we did give them to you. Now I'm over here sitting here thinking whether or not I'm going to have license inspection contacted. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. It's interesting how all the dirty stuff you've done to me, most people wouldn't even think about it. They wouldn't even think about the, oh, what about this? No, they would take you out so fast, so quick, and show no mercy whatsoever. But I'm literally here thinking about it right now. We got enough on them. Do we need to push that? Do we need to add that too on top of that? There's enough here that we have to prosecute them on. Is that needed? And you know what? It's not needed. Jamie, this is how my mind works at the end of the day. It's not needed for me to do that. I can. Don't ever tempt me. Please don't. Don't sit there and take this act that I'm giving to you as a sign of weakness. Don't do that. I've made a decision of mine. It's too much. It's just too much. We have enough. That's all we need. But if you want to go down that road and you want to sit there and call my whatever you want to do and say, oh, he's just a, don't do that. Just don't do that. No. Your limits, man. The reason why I'm filling out these post office forms again, because Jamie, I let it go. Don't you understand? At the dirt that you do to me on a day-to-day basis, I just look at this guy like, man, there's something wrong with him at the end of the day. Sometimes I just look at you and I think you're slow. Maybe there's something wrong with you. You're just slow or something. Maybe something's not connected in your head. Maybe you're mentally not intact. That's got to be it. I've never seen anybody like this in my life. But some days I'm sitting there like, you know what? Forget it. We're not bothering with it. I'm not gonna bother with this. Let's just leave it be. But then you just keep doing dumber and dumber stuff. I'm like, gee whiz, man, we're gonna have to go in and prosecute this guy. Like, you act like at the end of the day, I'm sitting there all joy, joy, joy. No, I don't want to sit there and prosecute showing this dumb. Why? What is wrong with you? You're gonna force my hand to do this? Do you know once these documents come in how bad this is going to be? You're talking about United States government's going to be involved in this. I got 2 accounts on you. They're open and shut cases. They're easy to prosecute. And here you are. I got you in my sight. All I got to do is squeeze that trigger, my man, and you're gone. And I'm sitting there hesitating whether or not to pull that trigger. Because it's that the consequences are bad. And I mean really bad. You're not being hunted by or prosecuted by any police agency. We're talking about the United States government. And we have the evidence to prosecute you. And the reason why I'm doing this again, because we had the documents, and I kept saying, you know what, I'm not going to do it, not going to do it. You know what, let them keep slandering my product. You know what I mean? I'm just going to keep making my product and do what I'm doing. Just leave it be. Some people, sometimes I don't go to his site because he posts this stuff. Some people are so bad for themselves that sometimes you have to stay away from them because they self-destruct right around you. Watch them self-destruct. So sometimes the best thing to do when you have an enemy is sometimes to stay a distance from them, because they're the worst enemy. They will self-destruct right in front of you, like, gee whiz, did he just do that right in front of me? Like, you know you can get locked up for that? What is wrong with you? So now these documents are here, sitting at my table again. This is round 2. The sad thing about it, Jamie, you forced my hand. I have to follow through on this. I gave you an option. I literally gave you an option. I can go back and show you where we had these documents. They were still within our timeline of statute of limitations to file. I gave you the option, and he wouldn't take it. And I sit there and I'll talk to my friends sometimes. I'll say, what is wrong with him? Like, is it mental problems or something? So I don't even know, to tell you the truth. Every time we try to give him a chance, he just does this. Do you know how bad this is going to be for you at court when that judge sits there and asks me, Mr. Bird, you had the time to prosecute this guy. Why didn't you do it? He was trying to basically give him a second chance. That's what I tried to do. That's what I tried to do. Tried my hardest. Here's the videos. Here's videos of me telling him, back down. We gave him court orders, back down. He just would not listen. Anything we did, anything we tried, he just wouldn't listen. He forced my hand. I have no choice. No one is taking joy over this, Jamie. No one's taking joy over this. No one is sitting here laughing about my friends like, yeah, this joker's going to jail. He's going to lose everything. His family's going to be out in the street. No one's doing that. It's sad that I have to do this, because you don't know better at the end of the day. You're not even a man. I'm gonna say it I said to your face any day of the week. You're not a man. You don't know how to protect your own family. You are a child. That woman married a child. I guarantee your kids got more common sense than you. And the reason why I say this is going to hurt you bad. And it's going to affect your family. And you can't get mad at me at the end of the day and say, oh, he's a hateful person. He attacked my... No, you attacked your own family. Your wife finds out in court that we basically gave you the opportunity to get out of this situation, and you continued on. It means you have no respect for the loved ones, your family, or your wife. I sat there when I talked to a lawyer, when he was looking at the paperwork and everything. He said, gee whiz, this guy, I said, well, why haven't you prosecute? I said, he got a family at the end of the day. I really didn't want them to go through that mess. He said, well, apparently you don't even care about his family if he keeps coming at you with this dumb stuff. You're going to have to basically just push it aside and just prosecute him. It has to be done. So this is where we're at now. So I'm not going to call license inspection. That's just too much. I have enough evidence to prosecute you. Yes, I do. I can definitely prosecute you on that, but I'm not going to do it, because you know why? It's just too much. It is. It's too much. We have enough here to get the job done, and that's what I'm going to have to do. I'll see you in court soon for the criminal charges. As for the copyrights, you'll be going back to court. Another process server. We have to go back and reactivate the other one with the Crystal Edge. We have plenty of time for that. We still have 3 years left on that to prosecute. So we'll file the one for Crystal Edge again. We'll come back in and file the one for the Black Series edition, because even though you did delete it off your website, it's still on Google Images showing your name and your company next to our name that you slandered, so we can still use that in court against you. And then we'll be working on going to court probably around, not probably December, probably roughly around January in that time. And this is for slander in our products. This is where lawyers will be involved in this. This is where Jamie's going to have to show proof that our products did exactly as he said on YouTube. If not, he's going to be facing $1 million lawsuit. So, it's a shame we have to go down this road, people. It's a shame I got to involve other people. You got to listen to me talk about this mess at the end of the day. What I would really like at the end of the day is just to come on here, do my videos, do my work, mind my own business, and be left the freak alone. That's it. But you guys won't leave me alone. You want to keep messing with me. And now it's on. Partey, we know you at the end of the day. I know you definitely so well. You, on the other hand, you're definitely a coward. You talked all this trash about if I talked about you, you're going to slap me with a lawsuit. I see nothing. I even haven't heard from your attorney yet. And yet, if when I order your products, I guarantee your address won't be on it. I guarantee you will cancel that order and put that money back in my account because you're too afraid for me to know where you live at. But don't worry, this is what private investigators get paid for, because I will find you at the end of the day, and I will bring you into court because you slandered me a few times. Basically, we have videos and documents that you thought you deleted. We still have those documents basically showing you taking my picture and putting me in these weird characters. And yes, that is against the law. You can't do that. I don't take y'all pictures. I don't put you on weird poses. We're going to find the time to do that anyway. I don't do stuff like that. I don't write you weird emails. We got an email from you give me death threats. Yeah, right there. And you signed it and you have your company's name and all your information right there. That'll be used against you in court also. So yeah, I do plan to see you in court. Silent Wake 5. I have time to prosecute you also too. You committed forgery. You committed fraud. You actually had a fake unboxing on my product. You claimed that that was my product. At the end of the day, I will be suing you for about $1 million in court, in federal court. Mr. Matthew, if we get an apology letter from you, because I'm willing to give you less than the rest of them, I get an apology from you at the end of the day, telling me you're sorry for your actions, I'll let it go. If not, I'll take you to court and prosecute you. So, gentlemen, you've made this mess for yourself. You only have yourself to blame for these things. You jumped on Crow's bandwagon. You listened to the nonsense that he was pushing out to you, and this is what Jamie has done to you. And now you're going to have to face the music. So again, we have between 3 and 5 years to prosecute. I'm going to get this all wrapped up because when 2024 hits, I want to be able to work on my products and be left alone. If anybody else feels the need that they want to use me as some kind of, I don't know, springboard or whatever, I'll just take you to court and we'll handle it that way because that's how I do business. I'm not going to do the back and forth thing. I'm tired of the back and forth thing. I'm just trying to run a successful company, run my business, and just work. That's all I'm trying to do. Unfortunately, this is what people have to deal with. It's interesting because I watch these big YouTubers out here and the crazy stuff that they go through. There's a guy who comes on here, he does camping, talks about his dogs and everything. And every once in a while, he starts talking about how people say he mistreats his animal and how he's this and how he's that. I'm like, gee whiz, are you kidding? Like, everybody goes through it. Yeah, they go through the memes and all that stuff. There's another fellow, and I'll put him up real quick. I'm not going to say who he is, but he's another person I like to watch on boondocking. I love him. I watch all his boondocking episodes. He does some pretty cool stuff. And his wife passed away, and that was really heartbreaking. Yeah, his wife passed away. That's a really hard thing to go through. Do you know that there were trolls in there mocking that? I mean, how low can you be at the end of the day? You trolls have no respect for anybody. So to be able to drag one of you guys in court, to rip you off YouTube and put you in a court of law to be prosecuted is justice served, and I cannot wait for the day to happen. But you guys are absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. That man's wife passed away. That's a great deal amount of pain he had to go through, and there were people laughing and joking about that. Don't worry. You got two things. Your days are going to come up. Your days going to come up on earth here, and if you don't change your ways, it'll come up in the next life. In the next life, there won't be any second chances. All right, people. Sorry I got to basically involve you in this. I do apologize for it all, but unfortunately, this is some of the crap I have to go through in business. This is why I like dealing with the big companies, because the big companies, it's two things. It's court. That's it. There's no back and forth. There's no blah, blah, blah. It's just court. If I do something wrong to them, they take me to court. If I do something wrong, back and forth, we go to court. That's it. There is no back and forth. Nobody talks to anybody until we go to court. That's how we do it. But unfortunately, we can't do it this way because we're dealing with kids at the end, children at the end of the day, and I have to follow this paperwork to get this done. All right, people, you have a wonderful day. I'm going to get back to work. God bless.